want to talk to you a little bit about a 3/4 view portrait and some of the key important changes between a 3/4 view and a regular full view portrait like what we've been used to drawing. In a full view portrait, we have learned that when you go to draw the eyes, there's one even eye space in between. So that same width should be fit in between. And we've also learned that there should also be one eye width to the right and the left of the eyes, and that would indicate where the edge of the skull or the side of the head would be whenever you're drawing in that full portrait. But in a 3/4 view, something is changing. The face is starting to turn to the side, and we're seeing less of the face and more of the side of the face. So that little 5-section rule is no longer true. And I want to show you some of the things to think about when you're drawing in 3/4 view. So I've drawn a very simple illustration. We've already learned about linear perspective and how to draw very simple things like cubes, but now I want us to apply that to a human face or a human head. If we sort of look at this very simple little block head that I've illustrated, this would be what a full view looks like. We get the complete width of the whole head. Everything is facing straight on. Everything is level and horizontal. So in thinking about the width of the face from here to here, as that plane is starting to turn away from you, notice that it gets narrower. So same thing is going to be happening up here in this drawing. The width of the face, this section, gets narrower, and then the side of the head becomes wider, and that becomes the majority of what we start to see in a 3/4 view. Now today we're going to be looking at drawing in particular this eye back here, because the shape of that eye is going to change quite a bit. Depending on how much you turn your head, in some instances, like for example here, the bridge of the nose can actually cover up part of this inside corner of the eye. And then on the other side, notice we're not going to see the outer point of the eye like we do here, where the eyelids, the top and the bottom eyelid meet in that outer corner, but instead we start to see the curvature of the eyeball itself. And this intersection is a really interesting place to take a very detailed look at. One thing that you will notice too is that when this upper eyelid comes to wrap around, it's literally wrapping around the sphere of this eyeball. And the eyelashes actually start to curl out and away, and you see them facing out beyond the edge of the face. And there's also usually a very thin sliver of skin between the eyelashes and where that eyelid touches the eyeball, so pay attention to that. Same thing with the bottom eyelid as well. You'll see it here is fairly normal, and then as it moves around, it actually starts to wrap around that eyeball. And pay very close attention to that little space of skin before those lower lashes start to extend as well. Another thing to notice is a very subtle change that's going to happen is the front eye will be a little tiny bit larger than this back eye, because if you're thinking about it in reference to depth of space, this front eye is closer to us now, and this back eye is ever so slightly further away, so the scale of it will diminish and be just a tiny bit smaller than the front eye. One last thing that I wanted to mention is to also pay attention to, remember how we talked about the horizontal nature of a full view portrait? But if you take a look at this 3/4 view, notice that those lines have now tilted because they're diminishing back in space. And if you see, the same thing is happening up here on this portrait, ever so slightly, the back eye is a tiny bit higher now than the front eye. So I hope that gives you a couple of things to think about today as you start a study and learning how to draw eyes in a 3/4 view. So good luck.